Good night, ladies and gentlemen. We are here tonight, the 10th of day of September. It's actually a holiday in Belize, Adrian. It's called the Battle of St. George's Caye. It was a day in 1798 when they had a battle between the British and the Spaniards. Of course, the British won, and that's why in Belize we speak English compared to our neighbors in Latin America and Central America, who are all Spanish speaking countries. So we are happy that we are here and we have a facilitator for tonight. We have Mr. Mark Lall, and he's from the current executive of the CNFO. He's our public relations officer. No, that's not correct. That's correct. And so I will call on Mark um, to introduce himself and start the presentation tonight.
Well, good night, everyone. Thank you very much for taking out time to join us tonight in our Leadership Institute training. And as Nadine was saying, I'm also a part of the CNFO executive. I'm a member as a fisheries liaison, and I'm very happy that I can so contribute in this training tonight. Of course, I don't think it's going to be that long of a training, but I hope, of course, that you will learn something of it, and it's something that you will surely be using in your organization, the meetings and groups that you are in. Tonight, we will be speaking about Model 3, facilitating the development of group vision, mission, and goals. So I'm sure that all of us here tonight in this training somehow of what are a part of our organization or part of a group that wants to do something for fisher folk. And in doing so, most fisher folk, most of the time, they just want to get their statement out. They want to accomplish goals for the fisher folk organizations, for the fisher folk they are working with their colleagues for betterment or whatever. But of course, in doing so, it's very helpful and it's very good to have these things written on paper so that you don't lose focus and that you can follow the red line in what you really want to accomplish. In doing so, of course, you should always have a vision of what you want to do. And even when getting into organizing people or starting an organization, you have to have bylaws, you have to be registered or whatever. And the first thing that comes in the bylaws is mostly the vision of the organization. And what is a vision? And a vision states a vision is where it gives details on future goals and where you wish to be. The purpose for a vision statement is to motivate and inspire. It defines how you want your entity to be seen externally and what you strive to attain, and it becomes the reasons to accomplish set goals. So, of course, when reading this and hearing this, you see that a vision gives actually things that you want to accomplish in the future. So it's not something that will be done in 1 day or 2 day, but a long-term goal. So it's something that you will need to hold on to in accomplishing and working towards your goal. Because, for example, fisher folk, most of the time we try to gain benefits. For example, especially when it comes to having our voice heard in certain decisions, government decisions, and whatsoever. And it's very important to hold on to those things and not stray away from it. So it's also important to have this in your visions and saying that what you want to accomplish with the organization. Is it only getting people together, or is it being an advocacy in decision making with policymakers or whatsoever? So all this has to be stated within clear words, also in the vision Or is it maybe also, for example, that you want to do some business or gain profitable business tactics or whatever for the organization? So that's a start. You start with a vision, and that is very good if you have that written down on paper so that you can hold on to the vision which you started with. Okay, a step in creating a vision statement. Nat, can we go to the next slide?
So really and truly, with that vast amount of power, we always say that
We're on the slide, steps in creating a vision statement. Mark, can you see it?
Mark, you'll have to unmute because you
So somebody mute me.
good. There were quite a lot of people unmuted, so I had to try and get things in order.
Okay.
So before you start, let me just say that until you request the mic, we'd just like you to keep your mics muted because occasionally there's unintentional interference. Thank you very much for your kind cooperation in this matter. Mark, it's yours.
Okay, thank you, Mitch. Okay, so we continue with the slide. The steps in creating a vision statement. I hope I think I'll start over on this slide. As I said before, as I was explaining the vision, the first step is project into long-term future. A vision should hold actually what you think about the organization in the future and what you want to accomplish. So it's not something that we wake up one morning and we think that tomorrow everything will be done. And we started an organization, or we gathered a few people and we were going to set our goals for one day. So it should be a long-term thing, something ongoing. Determine your purpose and position as an organization. This is very important. You have to know what the purpose is of the organization. Is it only an organization that's going to last, for example, for a week? Or are you going to continue to step up for sustainable goals for the organization? It's going to be for long term. Especially, you have to determine what the purpose is of the organization and what the position is. Describe what success looks like in your operation. Of course, nobody comes together or tries to organize something without having success. And in doing so, you should know what success should look like for your organization. What do you want to accomplish for the fisher folk themselves? Consider your company type and structure. This is very important for you to decide, because in most organizations, you cannot have 5 heads, or even 1 head or 2 head is not. So you should describe also what the structure should be of the organization. Will there be a chairman, a vice chair, a secretary, a treasurer? These things are very important, and also taking along. They are mostly taking along within the bylaws of the organization when you go to the notariate to set it up. Reference your competitors or create an analogy. Fisher folk organizations in the most of the time don't have much of competitors. We actually have more partners than competitors, because we try to work along with people to gain our goals for the fisher folk in this. The last point I see here, describe a measurable goal. What is important to know as fisher folks, especially, is you want to accomplish something that is within the reality and not something that is above that. For example, I see a lot of fisher folk organization. They try and they struggle most of the time, or especially in our third world countries with a lot of political will. And for example, in Suriname, most of our decision making and our advocacy are done with politicians because they create the regulations and the bylaws that regulate fisheries in Suriname. So, as I said before, you should describe a measurable goal that you want to accomplish. I don't think, for a very stupid example, would be that I don't think one of our chairmen or fisherfolk organization leaders would think of becoming, for example, someone in the the leadership of a country as president or whatever, but most likely like to become someone that can work along with them and gain of gain more profitable results for the organization and the fisher folk. Okay, so we've talked about vision a bit. I think we're gonna go now to the mission. And what is a mission statement of an organization? A mission statement is a short and precise statement that defines what a company does and what purpose it serves in terms of goals, what kind of product services it provides, its primary customer or market, its geographical region of operation. A mission statement, as it says here in the slide, means that we should actually describe what the organization is going to do. You have a lot of organizations in the Caribbean, and not so much in Suriname, but I've seen it a lot in the islands where you have cooperatives. And most cooperatives are organizations that gather profitable gain for their members, whereby they do some kind of business or what, for fisher folk, selling products and giving services so that they can gain also for their members. And this profit is divided within their members. And so it's also important to know that organization is not only, it doesn't has to only be services that comes up for advocacy or training or whatever. It could also be a business. And in doing so, the mission statement should be very clear if you're going to do business or what kind of service you're going to give to your members. Also, it's very important to know in which region you're going to operate. Is it going to be international? Is the organization going to operate national, locally, in one country or not? We're going to the next slide. The mission statement identify your audience. Of course, I think I'm talking to most of fisher folk tonight. So if you're going to start an organization as a fisherman or as a member of a fisher folk community, you have to know that who are you going to work with? Um, who are your members going to be? I don't think most of us in this meeting tonight or this training are going to have members of the tourism board or have members of the hotel chains in our organization, because our audience is very clear that we want to gain an organization that is going to be helping fisher folk. So it is very important also that if you're going to start an organization, the level of members within, you should know who are the members going to be. Why is the statement necessary? You have to have a clear understanding of a mission statement, because the mission statement defines actually what the organization is going to do and for who it's going to do it for. So the mission statement is very important to be clear and understanding. One point is, what is the value of a mission statement? As I said before, getting things done on paper. I know a lot of fisher folk most of the time The paperwork is very difficult for them, but getting things done on paper helps you also that you can remember stuff, so that you don't lose focus actually of what could be done after a year or after some time of when the organization has been started and been developing and going on. One point is aim what can guide the group going forward. It is very important that when organizing a group of people together, that you should try to keep the cohesive between the members and try to get something that will move them forward, something that binds them together. And for most fisherfolk organizations, most of the time, it's problems that can be solved. For example, like fish prices or good markets or advocacy in political decisions that will influence regulations. I think that will have a big influence on them. Most of the time, these are things that bind us as fisher folks, and that's why we want to organize, and that's why we want to get together to bring solutions to these problems. So that is one example. Okay, we can go to the next slide, I think, Nadine. So in doing so and saying all this, we have to create a mission statement. How do we do that? It must be original to the entity. As I said before, I think most of us here tonight, if I'm talking to fisher folks. So it should be original to a fisher folk organization. I guess if we're gonna or start a fisher folk organization, we cannot be talking about anything other else than the fishing industry itself, and that something that the members can clearly recognize themselves within. So, for example, if we talk about fish prices or good markets, it's something that speaks to the members because it's something they deal with every day. And that is actually something that is familiar to them. It must be foundational. Mission statement can change like vision statement. Yes, as I said, the vision statement is more likely something that you want to accomplish within the future. So building on that, you have to start something, and the mission statement has to be very clear on what you will use to accomplish that vision. It must have a connection with the personnel. As I said before, the members should be familiar with the statement of the mission. It must be short and concise. This is very familiar, I think, within us. We don't love as people to read a whole chapter on a vision statement, but it is if it's short and very catchy, then we remember it faster. One time we were at a meeting and also training, I think, and we were trying to come up with a easy way to or some like a theme for something, and somebody said like what can we say in fisher folk language and fisherman language that it would catch very fastly. And somebody said, you know what, let's talk about sustainable fishery. Let's say from hook fish to hook, for example. Hook, the fishermen are, everyone knows what a hook is and everyone wants to deal with the fish. So it was easy just to create one sentence. We could talk about sustainable fishery, and we just create a very short sentence, and it was very recognizable to the fishers in that training. Another point of mission statement, it must be able to fit in clothing, etc., and shown clearly. As I said, putting a whole chapter or a whole book or a whole big long text for promotional uses on, example, a hat or everything would not be very useful. It has to be very short. Um, Next slide, please, Nadine. Organizational goals. What is an organizational goal? It is a strategic objective that the company management established to outlines expected outcomes and guides staff efforts. So, as I said before, when getting a few people together or starting an organization, you have to have goals. And it is very important also that you have an objective so that people or the members know what what the objective is to accomplish this goal. What do you want to achieve with getting people together, getting people organized within an organization? The next slide, Nadine. So why is it important to have organizational goals? This is very essential to the development of any success and of any organization. It creates a roadmap for success. It gives you a starting point and destination to reach the aim. Helps you to see where you are going, if changes be made, and or see progression. When setting goals, be sure it's an agreement with overall vision. Goals are reached one step at a time. Commit to the vision and express it in achievable goals. It provides the motivation where you are heading and how to get there. It helps to determine priorities and direct you to focus on important points. So you see, all these points that I've read are showing why you actually need organization goals. Next slide, Nadine. How do we create or set the organization goals? Um, I see here there's a few letters that spell out SMART, and it's also in Surinamese they will say "Isa Burkhacha." It's a guideline to actually help you, so you can accomplish creating these goals. And that SMART, the S stands for specific, the M stands for measurable, the A stands for achievable, the R stands for relevant, and the T stands for time. Make it specific. What do you want to accomplish? Um, as I said before, it should be realistic, the goals that you want to achieve. So you have to make it very a specific goal that you want to achieve. For example, you want to create a market for a certain species of fish. You have to be very specific what you want to accomplish. Who needs to include it? When do you want to do this? Why is it a goal? It should be very specific, as I said before. Who should be within it? What you want to accomplish with it? When do you want to start? And when do you accomplish the goal actually? The M, that stands for measurable. How can you measure progress and know if you have met your goal? Of course, for fisher folk, it is always important that you make progress because your members or the people that you try to organize in any organization love to see progress. It encourages them to participate and participate and inspires them to organize better and make effort within an organization. So you should make it measurable. Let the progress be shown and measured. Try to show those progress as well. Share that with them. The A for achievable. Do you have the skills required to achieve the goal? If not, can you obtain them? What is the motivation for achieving this goal? Is the most of effort required on par with the goal will achieve? I must say this that sometimes in organizations, we lack some know-how in certain areas. As a fisherman, I can say if you ask any fisher folk, what tide do we need to go out and fish? Which tide should we stay home? Or is the wind blowing the right direction? Or is the moon full out? Is it good fishing? Those field experiences and skills, we already have it after learning it from generations to generations. But if we should tell a fisherman that we need to make some articles in the bylaws, or that we should get something registered and we need to go to the notariate and think, most of the time we do not know. A lot of us don't have that know-how or don't have the skills to do certain things. So doing so, if you do not have that, you should inquire and try to make sure that if you don't have it, try to get it. Or even if we have to take someone to help us to do it. Okay, the R that stands for relevant. Why I am this goal? Is it aligned with overall objectives? Not all goals are relevant. Sometimes over time, when moving on with the organization when started, some goals become something that, for example, we do not need to achieve anymore, or not that important anymore for us. And you should ask yourself, is it still relevant that we keep it within the goals set, or should we put it on hold or put it aside and put priorities to more important goals for the organization and its members? And that is very important because, as I said before, you should try to include everything that members need, members see important for the organization going forward and making progress for them. The time is very important. What's the deadline, and is it realistic? Time is very important for all of us. Sometimes I think the days are getting shorter every day, and it's very important to set that deadlines to accomplishing goals. We can always have so much planned and so much things that we want to realize within our lifetime, or maybe if I said within the lifetime of the organization. But we should also be realistic. Are we going to achieve it within that short period of time? And that's why it's very important to set deadlines, that if we are going to accomplish a goal or something needs to be done to accomplish the goal, that we should set deadline and say that, within 2 weeks, we'll come back, we'll have a meeting and see what the progress is moving forward to that goal. And then see if we need to change the strategy of accomplishing that goal, or if there is progress, if we should continue on that same strategy. And that is a few ways in creating and getting towards the organizational goals. In this slide, I think I've come to an end of the presentation. I hope you have gained something out of it. And of course, Nadine will take over. And if there's any questions, or I think I will try to answer them. Nadine? Or Mitch?
Yeah, good night again. Thank you, Mark, for running through those important steps when we are forming an organization, the vision, the mission. We have to set goals and make them smart. So, Mitch, do you want to facilitate the discussion? We have about 30 minutes, I believe, for discussions on these topics.
Well, first, I know you asked the question about smarter goals. And is there anyone who can tell us what the extended ENR are about? And they're very popular in terms of monitoring and evaluation. So you can say what ENR are. Anybody? So just so that we start the ball rolling, when you're setting smarter goals, they suggest that you look at evaluation and adjustment in term. So the R would be reassess or readjust based on your evaluation. So you add a component of monitoring to the goals themselves. Are there any contributions from the presentation itself? Any thoughts you'd like to share? Any examples from organizations in terms of vision, mission, and goals?
Maybe something I can share from my experience, Mitch. When we were starting our organization here in Suriname, when we just started, the vision was quite different than when it started rolling, you know. And after so many years, we did adjust a few things in our vision, which in the statement remained mostly the same, because we had the tools actually, but still we haven't accomplished everything that we want to accomplish. As I said before, it's very important that to get the members together, and that progress that I was talking about, members only want to support and join when they see progress within an organization. The growth will be there, the support, the effort, everything will be there. But progress is very important, and setting those goals should actually show the progress within an organization. So as I said before, starting it and letting it roll off. For every country, I think that will be a different vision, a different statement for every organization as well, because the countries are different. They have different problems. They have different solutions. So I say that it may not be perfect, but within the bylaws or articles that you start the organization with, that you have to start with something.
Very important contribution. You start with something, and as you go along, as the group expands and solidifies and identifies specifically where they're headed, then you have a more definitive mission and also a more definitive vision as well. Actually, Cinefood took some time before it actually developed its vision and mission, and it did that in a very participatory kind of a way. So all the members were encouraged to contribute to the mission and vision statements. And I think this is an important point that perhaps organizations need to take on board, that when you develop your mission and vision statements, you involve the entire group and give everyone an opportunity to input their thoughts as to how they see the group going forward, and what are the things they would like the group to do now in order to reach where they want to go. So that is important. Any other contributions? We certainly would love to hear from you.
Yes, I'm really delighted to hear you say that. Because for me, sorry, Rodney Morris, Grenada. For me, what that does is it opens the group to not just communicating, but it opens them to feel valued. Then it shows them a sense of it shows them that the management is there for them, that their thoughts and their opinions, it matters, and that really it broadens the scope of the organization as it provides more and more ideas, innovative ideas to move forward.
So Rodney, I would also say to you that it also gives the members, each member then feels empowered in terms of contributing to the group itself, and therefore they take ownership and are more willing to participate. Do you agree with that?
That's very true. Yes, I agree with that as well. I agree with that as well. It also enables them to maintain a steady focus as to what the objectives really are, the objectives of the discussion really are. If I might add, am I correct?
Yes. And you actually are touching on an area now that moves into the actual monitoring and participation of all the members in monitoring the group's activities. So when all the members know where the group is supposed to be heading, and somebody comes up with an activity that is deviating, then the entire group starts to say, well, this is not what we're about. Yes, because we all know what we're supposed to be about.
Right, right. Maintaining a common focus.
Yes, very, very important. Any other contributions? We certainly know that you have valuable contributions to make, and we want to encourage you to do so. I see Winsbert and Lana both have their mics unmuted. Who would like to speak? Lana, you have a contribution for us. Lady, I'll ask Lana first, and then Winsbert if he wants to as well. So Lana. So Winsbert, did you have something to say? Because I did see your mic unmuted, and I'm willing to give you the floor. Okay, so while we're waiting on some of you to give us some useful information, because I know you all are in organizations where these things are importantly relevant, and part of this discussion is for us to learn from you as well. So while you're thinking of how you can contribute, let's look at the polling question. Nadine, can you share the results with us? All right, the question was, does your organization have a mission statement? And we had 6 of 7 responses said yes. One response said they're not sure. And we have 14 possible responses. So the CNFO has a mission and a vision statement, and Nadine actually has it on the screen. I would ask those of you who are here to share with us if you have participated in the development of the mission statement for the group that you're in, or if you have in any way contributed to the monitoring and evaluating of the organization's goals or objectives. Any takers?
Hi, good night.
Good night.
So the organization that I was a part of, it was called ECO at St. George's University in Grenada. And it stands for Education Conservation Outreach. So we did work, the mission statement surrounds focus on bringing awareness to youths in the country when it comes to the environment, the ecosystem on a whole, and learning how to conserve and preserve it. So one of the things that we did was look at youth forums, and we went to, say, for example, different schools, just to speak about one of the topics we spoke about was bringing ocean awareness. So that's just something surrounding our mission statement that we just went into the community in Grenada to speak about.
Is it Roseanne?
Yeah, it's Rosanna. I know it's a bit like away from the whole fisher folk thing, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool. Environment and oceans of fisherfolk environment. I had a question for you, Roseanne. And that is, while with the organization, were there any periods where you had to go back to the mission or the vision statements to actually ensure that what you were doing aligned with those? Or or was it the mission and the vision statement that caused you to do the action?
It was the mission statement that causes us to do the action. Yeah.
So there was a direct consciousness that this is our mission and therefore we're going to deal with this.
Yeah. It was direct, definitely. Because well, the mission statement encompasses looking at youth in particular in the
Yes.
country, just to bring any awareness in the ecosystem. So we just dive in directly towards that and just went to like different primary schools and secondary schools just to educate them about in the case I said before, the ocean.
Yeah, thank you very much, Roseanne. We
No
we
problem.
really, yes. Is there anyone else who'd like to share with us as well from their experiences and the organization? So Winsbert, you do have your mic unmuted, but I can't hear you. Perhaps there's an issue with your mic or the device that you're using. Winsbert, can you hear us? Maybe you can type something. Okay, I see no response from Winsbert. Apparently he had some technical issues. So how many of you as CNFO members are familiar with the CNFO's vision and mission statement? Can we have an indication? Just give me a emoji, a thumbs up or something like that if you know CNFO's mission and vision. Just go to React and give me a thumbs up. So we do have a few participants who are aware of CNFO's vision and mission. I would like for Nadine to give us some thoughts on how CNFO uses its vision and mission when it is engaging in activities. So Nadine, can you share with us some thoughts on that? How CNFO, using its vision and mission, engages in activities or decides not to engage?
Yes, sorry. Yes, Mitch. So in terms of the CNFO and working with partners, it is important when you're working with partners, friends, allies, you have to be centered and aware of the purpose of your organization, your vision, your mission, your goals. When you're in tune with that, I know it's not always negotiating, but you're going to the table with other stakeholders in the industry. Immediately, if they're new or not, you can determine whether they are aligned with your focus or not. So we have different types of stakeholders in the industry. So we are the fisher folk. You would have conservationists, environmental conservation groups. You will have researchers, scientists, and just maybe large companies, because we are considered small scale fishing. And so we have a lot of players and others. And so when they speak, you have to determine if they're speaking your same language that are aligned with your goals. And so we, as small scale fishers, operate a certain way so that things do not affect our livelihood. So we have government as a stakeholder as well. So when we are at the table with these people, we have to ensure that they are speaking about what is our vision, what is our goal. We want to, of course, fish responsibly, for example, and fishers are always the ones that are most aware of what is happening with the fish, the different fish species. And then you're talking now to maybe a conservation group, maybe the government, and they want to create a new regulation. They want to create a new regulation, or a conservation group. They want to collaborate on a project to continue expansion of marine protected areas. This can be good or bad, we're not saying, but we have to read all the fine lines and ensure that what they are saying matches how we perform. And many times all the stakeholders claim to have the same interests, so they say, and we all have the same ending result, so we say. But Mitch would always say the way we get there, no, we don't want to go down that road. We all want sustainability for the industry. We all want to have fish for the future. So that is the big picture. The government is saying that, the conservation groups are saying that, everybody is saying we want to have fish for the next generation to come. So that is the big picture. Yes, we are on the same page, but Mitch always say how we derive at that major goal is different. Therefore, today we cannot work with you, because to reach there, you're saying that we have to stop fishing a snapper. That's the only way we can preserve that. And as fisher folk, we want to fish today and tomorrow. Today and tomorrow, you are considering that fish and not the people. You are considering tomorrow and not today. So let's think about today also and find other means and methods of sustainable fishing. Maybe we can have a quota, just for example. That's maybe not a good example, but there are different ways of doing things, and your way today that you're saying on this project is not the way we agree with, because that does not match our vision and mission. Our vision is to have sustainable fishing and good economies for the fisher folk. And if we stop fishing, we cannot have any economic gain. And so we cannot work together. We have to part, and we will do our thing with people who are aligned with the way we feel and the way we think and the way we have it written in our articles of association of how we are to operate. And so that is some of the ways we work with partners. Sometimes we can't work with them because they have different vision, and we have to respect that, because in the articles they have conservation, they have different topics, and we have to respect that. Likewise, they have to respect us and the way we feel and the way we think, because it is in our articles and our hearts of how we should operate. And so for that reason, we cannot work together. And this project will not continue with us being on that unless there is a negotiation that happens where we can both mutually benefit. But if it's not an arrangement where the fisher folk will have a say, consulted properly and benefit, if we're not going to benefit and only your organization will benefit because you're hard on your goals and you're not flexible, and then we cannot work. But of course, there's always negotiation to come at middle ground so that we can work together. But sometimes it doesn't happen that way, and we just have to leave them to operate how they want because we have our way of operating. So that is why it is important to be aware of your vision and your mission so that you don't stray from the organization that you're pushing forward. You cannot be manipulated. You have to be strong and focused. When you're leading a fisher folk or any organization, you have to know what your goals are so that you can abide by them, and it is not your personal goals. Therefore, you have the defense of all the people you're leading because you're speaking on their behalf, and you cannot bend because it's not my feelings. It's the feeling of the entire 1,000 members or 30 members that you're leading. And so that is the reason this is a very, very important because it's the center of your organization and it keeps you focused. You can't stagger, you can't stray from your ideology. You have to stay focused, and that is why this is a part of the presentation, because it's the start of our organization. You develop these things, and of course you can change them as you go along, but you have to stick to them because it is what will give you your identity and keep you make you look like you're an organization with integrity. Not everybody come bend you this way, then somebody else come bend you the other way. No, you stay firm and you stick to your principles. Everybody have their own set of principles. You stand on yours, and that is what will make you a good leader. Following what is in your constitution and sticking to your vision, mission, and goals. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Nadine. You've done better than how I could have done it. So are there any reactions to Nadine's input? Because I think that is quite important. She touched quite a few areas, and I'd love to hear from you as well. So the floor is open. You can just jump in by unmuting your mic. If you have 2 minutes one time, we'll moderate, but otherwise, the floor is open. So we have 3 minutes, and perhaps maybe I could ask some of our participants to I can specifically pick one or two, perhaps, if that is okay, for you to share with us, particularly the whole idea of how does your organization maintain its focus? What is it that allows you or causes you to maintain focus? And I'd love to pick somebody, perhaps Sylvia White from Barbados. How does your organization maintain its focus? Sylvia?
Good night to everyone. Thanks, Mitch, for throwing me underneath the bus. But the organizations can maintain focus by sticking to their mission statements, the mission statement that they have set out. Once they stick to the mission statement, they can't go wrong, or they shouldn't stray far from it. Um, and communication. Communication is very important when steering the organizations to achieve the mandate that they have set out for that, I would say, a year. Because I don't think you should, yes, you can go beyond a year, but I think that you should focus to have things done within a specific time. And once you, as I said, once you stick to that mission statement, and don't stray too far away from it, then they will be on track on getting the success that they're looking to achieve for their organizations.
I see you touched the idea of communication, and I wanted to expand a bit and tell me some more, because I actually envision that this is extremely important, particularly in terms of participatory monitoring of group activities, but also in terms of transparency and good governance. So can you share a bit?
Exactly. Exactly, Mitch. Transparency, good governance. Let the people that you are leading know what the mission statement is, what your focus or your target is for the duration of a year, what you have planned. Let them know in the early, so that they can tailor their input, so that they can tailor their input to make whatever you have to achieve for that year or year and a half or 2 years come to fruition, so that you won't be repeating the same thing that you did last year, but just keep going forward all the time, and keep the person that you are leading, keep them informed. Once you keep them informed, then it makes it easier for you to to get what you want to do in an organization achieve.
Yeah, thanks a lot,
Also,
Sylvia. Much appreciated. Yes, can we have that other input? You have the floor.
yes, sir. Also, if I might add, effective communication, what that does is it allows for persons to clearly understand their roles, the functions, the responsibilities, the tasks they need to perform. And in that light, persons are able to actually maintain focus instead of everybody just doing anything. You have what we refer to as differentiated roles or responsibilities. So we know that Jack is responsible for collecting data on turtles. We know that Jane is responsible for ensuring that, the boating persons have enough ice. So when persons are focused, when persons know what their roles and functions are, they are able to effectively focus on these and give their all, I should say. And that in turn would prevent time wasting and all these things on them.
Well said. Perfect.
Yes, thank you very much, Rodney. So I'm going to hand over to Nadine, and she's going to, in addition to closing and those other nice things, she's going to ask those of you who didn't register to also provide some information, not necessarily right now, but certainly in good time. Nadine, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mitch. I don't know how to do this. I will have to share the registration link, but I don't know if you will capture it quick enough. So what I will say is, before you leave, if you have not registered, leave me your WhatsApp number and I will collect it from the chat. So please type in a WhatsApp number quickly if you have not registered on the Google form, and then I will just bilaterally speak with you after the meeting. So we are going to end this call. It has been 1 hour, and we try to stay within that hour when possible. We don't want to keep you out too late. And so it has been a good session. Again, I want to remind you that we don't have any Leadership Institute module next week. So we go to the next date, which is the 24th. The last Tuesday in September. We will see you back here, same time, same place with Miss Susan, doing module 4. Thank you, and I will collect this information. Good night, everyone. Sleep well.
Yes, but just a second or two, so in case there's anybody else who